If the powerful people say the Holocaust didn't happen, Volcan R, get on Discord. Get on Discord, Volcan R. I want, you know, get a DG in here. Get it in. Get a Rem fan in here. I want to hear you repeat that question to me over voice. Or I'll ban you. Not seeing a response. We're talking about charitability. You want to talk about charitability? I'll talk to you about misinformation. Spreading the idea that I think whether or not something happened is just like all equally meaningless matters of opinion. That's spreading misinformation right there. Jesus Christ. I'm not seeing any accepting. Read his chat log too. Oh, somebody exclamation point stalk the guy.
0% of you are subscribed. Fix that.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hey, there you are. You hear me?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you.
Nice.
Okay, so, Rem went on Destiny's stream, and he was talking about a conversation he had with you, and he was saying that you were an epistemic anti-realist, right? And I understand you and Destiny are moral anti-realists, but I don't think Destiny is an epistemic anti-realist.
I can be
like
moved on.
Philosophy.
Oh, yeah, sorry, continue.
I'm not like a big philosophy guy, right? But I get the idea of like moral anti-realism, but epistemic anti-realism, I guess, is the idea that truth isn't real, right? Or there is no objective truth.
That we aren't capable of accessing objective truth, yeah.
Okay, so there was a clip from you talking to Rem on his stream, and Rem was saying like, okay, it's like 2 + 2 = 5. And you said, unironically, no, yes, right? You were basically saying that, and Rem was basically saying that you were saying that the Holocaust, that whether or not it actually happened, depends on the people who are in power. Do you get what I'm saying?
The perception as to whether or not the Holocaust happened, and the understanding of truth insofar as empirical reality is concerned, depend on which subjective epistemic frameworks people adhere to. But that's not the same as saying something is just an opinion.
Right, the understanding of truth, right? But what about like the actual truth of whether or not the Holocaust happened?
What is the actual truth?
The actual truth is in, did it happen or not, objectively?
Well, I believe it objectively happened. Do you?
Right, okay, so my question is, does it depend, like, does the actual objective truth, like, whether or not, like, you believe it, right? Does the actual objective truth depend on, like, what the powerful say?
I don't think there's an objective truth. I think that that's the epistemic anti-realist position, right? That we aren't capable of directly interacting with reality. We can only do so through our senses, because our senses are fallible and mortal. There are certain subjective preconceptions we have to make about the way in which we engage with the world. Now, our current conceptualization of objective truth is a pretty useful one. We seem to believe about, like, testing empirical reality. We care about, like, scientific verifiability, like replicability. That's very important. This is what I agree with. I'm totally fine with that definition. However, if you were to take a look at some previous societies, maybe some people who even live today, they don't subscribe to that belief in truth. They might have a divine perspective on truth, where real truth is in the holy book that they subscribe to, and that the empirical world is just a shadow world, a ghostly after-image of real truth, which is accessible to them only through speaking with the divine. Now, I disagree with that perspective, and I think it leads to some really horrible, horrible things, because some of those people don't believe the Holocaust happened.
So you don't think there is any underlying truth? Do I understand that right? Basically,
I don't think we can access objective truth because our senses are fallible and we have to make certain preconceptions in order to engage with reality.
So, I mean, whether or not the Holocaust happened, it doesn't matter as a claim then, because its truth is
it absolutely matters as a claim. What? Okay, hold on. If you follow Destiny, you have to be a progressive. Is gender a social construct?
By definition, right?
Right. So does that mean that it's not real and nobody cares?
I mean, I'm not an epistemic anti-realist. I believe gender is real.
What is real?
What is real? How do you define real?
Well, you said it's a social construct.
Well, yeah, but it's still a real thing. A social construct is a real thing.
Okay. So do you think that a thing can be real even if you have to adopt an intersubjective framework in order to analyze it?
Intersubjective framework.
Intersubjective, like it's subjective, but it's something that groups of people can collectively agree upon. So, like, our understanding of gender would be intersubjective. Gender, what we understand to mean gender, is subjective. We didn't, like, pull it out of a tablet in the desert in the Sahara. It's subjective.
Yeah, it's a social construct in the sense that you're not going to find gender written somewhere in nature, but it's a real thing in the sense that we all agree upon what it is.
Right, it's intersubjective in that it may be subjective, but it's also something we have collective social awareness of. So this is what I believe about our understanding.
It's real in the sense that we all agree that it's real.
Yeah,
that it's
exactly.
Is that do you disagree with me saying it's real in that sense?
It's real in the sense that it exists and it has impact. It's not real in the sense that it's empirical or that it speaks to some sort of divine or existential truth. And that's how I feel about everything. So you and I have no way of knowing, for example, and this is a bit of a juvenile example, but I'll throw it out anyway because it's easy to understand, both for me and for everyone else. You have no idea that we're not brains in a vat, that this isn't just some matrix simulation.
Right.
We have literally no way of testing for it. Like we literally can't. No matter how advanced our technology gets, it seems like that might be impossible. Likewise, we also can't verify the consciousness of other beings. Consciousness seems to be some emergent property we can't test for. We can believe it exists in other people, but we can't prove it. So my argument is that in order to function in society, you have to make some subjective presuppositions about certain things. That empiricism is valid, that causality exists, that we aren't brains in vats, etc., etc.
Well, why would wouldn't empiricism only be valid if it was referencing some underlying objective truth?
I think we reference it. I think we suggest it. I think we do our best to emulate it.
How could you reference it if it wasn't there?
Huh?
It has to be there, right, to reference.
It may be there, but that doesn't mean we can access it directly.
But if it's there, then it's real, and you can't say it's not real, right?
Oh, I didn't say that objective truth doesn't exist. I said that we can't access objective truth.
I thought that's what epistemic anti-realism meant.
No, that like we can't access it. So from our perspective, it might as well not exist. We aren't capable of accessing it because we have to make those subjective presuppositions.
Real, but we can't interact with it, basically.
Huh?
It might be real, but we can't interact with it or understand.
No, but we can get very, very close if we're just willing to make some reasonable presuppositions. Yeah. My issue is that epistemic First of all, I want to be clear. This isn't a position I'm especially attached to. This is just what seems right to me because it seems like we have to make those presuppositions. We can't prove causality, for example. We assume it exists. So it seems like, okay, maybe there is an objective truth. Maybe there is a real reality, but we're only seeing it through our senses, and our senses are made of meat and electricity.
If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Do we know that's real reality? If we can't prove we're not brains in a vat, then I don't know if it is. So my argument is that while it's possible to deviate from our current understanding of truth, to do so, you would have to make some very, very crazy fucking leaps in logic. Like, you could do it, and this is what I meant with powerful people. If you were brainwashed into believing that only the word of your, like, God Emperor is true, that only the word of your God Emperor is like the real source of truth, that they're a divine being and that everything else is just a pale facsimile of their glory, you could believe that, and technically that would also require intersubjective assumptions the same way that I have to make, but I think that my assumptions are way more reasonable, way more defensible, and produce much better outcomes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Okay, so thanks for, like, you know, not... I know I was, like, being snipey in the chat or whatever, but it was a fun conversation.
Well, I appreciate you talking to me, seriously. I'll unban you from chat, sorry. Wait.
Yeah, I appreciate you talking. I'm surprised you butchered my name so bad, because you butchered my name, like, in the exact way that people butcher yours. Like, people call you Vaush. I think you call me Vaughan or something.
I'm trying... Wait,
Vaughn. No.
There we go. Okay, I unbanned you, I think. All right, anyway, sorry.
Oh, thank you. All right, have a good night.
Okay. I'm happy that I had... Okay, I thought that'd be, like, super dumb in bad faith, but okay. Did you guys understand the argument that I was making there about epistemic anti-realism? So in order to be, like, a functional member of society... No? Okay, I'll put it this way, okay? I'll put it this way. Oh, it's Vaughan R. Sorry. Okay, wait.
I'm surprised you butchered my name so bad.
Unban Vaughan
I think you call me Vaughan or something.
R. Okay, that has to be it. Okay. Does anti-realism even matter like in the real world? No, none of this matters in real discourse, okay? Meta-ethics has like nothing to do with normative ethics, okay? Okay. So this is my position. I could be moved in it, but this is as I understand it, okay? So causality is assumed but cannot be proven. The idea that a thing happens because a previous thing happened is a thing that it's not a thing that you can necessarily test for. We have to assume it's the case. If you can't assume that causality is real, then you can't like function in society. Like you're rejecting basically the most essential underlying component of existence, the idea that things happen because of actions before them and forever on, you know? But you have to assume it. Likewise, I can't assume, I can't know that any of you have a consciousness. I can't know that. You can only ever know that you're conscious. You can only know that. You don't know if another person is conscious. You have to assume it, and you assume it based on expressed characteristics. But sometimes those don't fully attribute. There are people who have fully realized consciousnesses who have had a stroke and who can barely move or talk. So how would they demonstrate to you that they have a consciousness? There are some people who, due to disability, are less physically expressive than like dogs are. But internally, they're thinking like a human. But dogs show their consciousness more than some of these people. So we're only looking at signaled characteristics of consciousness rather than consciousness itself. My argument is that there are certain things about the world you have to assume in order to function effectively in it. And that if you make those assumptions, which basically every human being has, objective reality falls into place. That everything makes sense. History, mathematics, science, all this stuff makes sense. But it is possible to be essentially groomed into a different understanding of truth if you are subjected to a power structure which can force you to adopt other preconceptions. And the easiest way to imagine that is with religion. You guys know Plato's cave? The idea that reality is just like a shadow projected on a wall and that there's a real world out there that you exist as a part of, but you can't perceive it, right? So these ideas have been around for a while, that the true world is not one we can directly engage with. Our fallible senses are not capable of perceiving truth, only a facsimile of truth, only a projection of truth. So these ideas have been around forever, like forever and ever. And depending on which preconceptions you make, you can believe some really fucked up things about reality. The religious argument is really simple to adopt. If you believe that a holy book is the summit of truth, that what is in that holy book is the truth, as some religious people do, and that's that, then you can dismiss other empirical bits of reality if you've rejected empiricism. Like, empiricism to some people is a convenient proxy, but in reality their truth comes from elsewhere. Like maybe flat earthers. A lot of hardcore conspiracists have wacky beliefs about the world, but if you reject empiricism, then those beliefs can be internally consistent. Now that doesn't make them right. I think they're wrong, but they can be internally consistent. I'll give you another example. Remember praxeology from anarcho-capitalists, where they believe that you arrive at economic theories not through observing reality, but rather through pure logic? Well, that in and of itself is, in a way, a deviation from some of the assumptions that we typically make about the universe. Empiricism is basically what everything's based on. I mean, you observe phenomena and you arrive at conclusions because of it. But some people say no. Observation of phenomena does not determine reality. Logic determines reality. And then, of course, they have very flawed logic. But it's how these things work. So I think that there is a subjectivity present, but the subjectivity that I have to adopt is way more defensible than the subjectivity others have to adopt. And in that respect, there is no objective truth, There is only objective truth with regards to the subjective presuppositions that we've made. I hope that makes sense.